Okay, so we'll go ahead and kick this off so we can get as much as we can out of our missionaries in our short time we have with them. So thank you everyone for joining. And we'll go ahead and ask some questions. I'll start off the very first question, and we'll let others join in as we go along. But first, I'll start it off. So with the missionaries, we'll start off with Dave, followed by Mackenzie, Sydney. So if you could just tell us about your typical day that you have on your mission.
Ooh. So wake up 6:30. Get ready by 9, and 9 start personal study for an hour, 10 companionship study, and then we try to have language study, not much, but yeah, we try to get language study in. But yeah, and then from then on, yeah, we have lunch, and then probably like from 12 till sundown, and we just go out and visit the people we had to visit. And we do that unless it rains, then we have to head back because no one will invite us in. But yeah, that's a typical day.
Well, okay, so you wake up at 6:30 and go from there.
And we're really lucky because with a member. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay, well, great. Mackenzie?
This is before COVID happened, right?
Yes. And
yeah.
Want to talk about both? Sure, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so I serve on a college campus. I'm in the YSA, and so my days are very different than like a normal missionary, I think. But we wake up at 6:30, we exercise, we get ready for the day, and then we walk to school. It's College of Southern Idaho, so we just walk to school and we do our studies there. And we wear normal clothes and we don't wear our name tags, and we go by our first names. And we just walk around and we talk to people every day. We eat lunch at school, we go to the Institute building, and yeah, that's pretty much what every day was. But now that school's over, I guess it was canceled because of the virus, we just text people all day. Hopefully, it's hard because a lot of the people that were going to school went home because of the virus, so we don't have many contacts anymore, but we're working on it.
All right, well, thank you. Okay. Sorry, I missed it. I just had to drop off my iPad, just overheated, so that's just my iPhone. All right,
okay, I'll go next. Okay, so with a normal day, I guess before COVID, like every morning, we wake up at 6:30 and we do exercises, and then we have to be done with like getting ready and exercise and eating and stuff by 8. And that's when we do our 3 studies. And we do, well, I do Spanish study for an hour, then you do personal, and then just companionship. And so pre-COVID, we had 5 to 9, it was called prime time. And that was the time you were out finding. So it doesn't really matter how many people you're teaching, you're always finding 5 to 9. And so after prime time, it was 7 to 9. No, not 5 to 9, sorry, it was 5 to 7. And then 7 to 9, that was like members and appointments. So we'd go over to members' houses during that time. And that would be like a good time to like get them to like fellowship and stuff like that. And we can tell them about the people we found. And then, so with COVID, it's kind of the same, just without prime time and member time, I guess. We just like choose to contact people during that time. And we take a lot of walks, and yeah. Yeah.
All right, so you and Dave had to learn how to study for languages also.
Yeah, every day.
And Sydney had to try to understand the lingo of Idaho.
It's pretty much a different language, so I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, tell us about the people in
Things
your
like
area.
fencing.
Also, we'll start with Dave.
The people, man, I'm missing so much. The people there, it's really different there. Um, the culture is so different. Like they don't really worry about privacy. People just like wear beach clothes all day. And you can just talk to everyone you come across, and it's part of their culture there. You get to say hi to literally everyone you walk across on the road, and how they're doing, where they're headed. It's just so different. Really enjoyable for us just being able to talk to anyone about pretty much anything, your family, plans, where you live, anything really.
Yeah, the people in the islands where you were at, they're very
And
humble.
they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've talked to them before when I've traveled over there in the Marshall Islands. Yeah, that's great. Mackenzie.
I'm sure you've been to Idaho,
Mhm.
so you know a lot of of the people and what they're like. But honestly, that was kind of a shocker for me. Is everyone's just very friendly. You can walk down the street and everyone's very willing to talk to you, even if they're non-members. But I've learned a lot. I think, like you've heard in my emails, a lot about farming and different types of life, things that I've never known before. So it's fun to be able to learn that aspect of it. But yeah, people are very friendly, very willing to talk. And most people here, because there's so many members, everyone knows about the church. And so for non-members, it's either they're very bitter about the church or they're very, very open to it because of it. So it's fun to find a good balance of that.
Yeah, your area, the church's presence is very well established.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what it makes friends so important, because there's non-members, and if they have seen a member that did something bad or they have a bad experience with a member, it really changes their whole view of the church. So it's just funny how important that is.
That's great. Sydney?
Okay, so I recently moved to this area about like 4 weeks ago, and in my last area it was a lot more white people, and I'm like a Spanish speaker, so we have to find like pockets of Spanish people, and it was harder. But coming here, we're about 15 minutes from the border of like Tijuana, and so there's a lot of Spanish work, and I don't know. So there's a lot of Spanish here, and like it's honestly really exciting. It kind of is rough because it's COVID, and I can't I don't know. I could do missionary work, but like it's just different. But they're really whenever I would go tracting and I'd find like a Spanish person, they are honestly so humble, and they're just so kind, and like even if they're not interested in your message, they'll like invite you in and give you food. And I don't know, I've really grown just to love the Spanish people here. I keep saying Spanish, they're Mexican, and like that was a hard thing for me to get used to saying, because in Virginia nobody's like from Mexico, and you don't call people Mexican. That's like not right. But like they want you to call them Mexican, so the Mexicans here. Yeah.
You know, I actually think I know all three of your areas very well, since I used to go to San Diego quite a bit too, over the Marine Corps, since our Marine Corps presence is pretty well established in San Diego. But that's great. I'm glad you're getting to use your language and get to talk with the Spanish-speaking people in southern San Diego. That's awesome. Okay, I'll open it up for questions from anyone else about. Did you have questions about their areas at all, or their typical days?
I had a question for Sydney. Is the Old Town San Diego in your mission? Have you been able to go there and see the Mormon battalion building and things?
Yeah, so the Mormon, that's part of our mission. That's like in the center of our mission. And when you first start your mission, you they have like a day where they have all the new missionaries go through the Mormon battalion. And it's really, really cute. When I first got here, I wanted to like serve there, but you're called to Mormon battalion kind of like you're called to like a temple mission. But yeah, I've been there. It's cool.
I have a question. Do you like your companion, Sydney?
Yeah, I like my companion. She's great. I love her.
That sounds like a loaded question.
That, yeah. We're good. I like my companion.
Well, I remember on my mission, we were always told if you don't like a companion, if you ever do have a companion you don't get along with, shine their shoes.
It's true.
You're doing something nice for him and he gets the message. Huh?
Pretty much. Service is the way to go. Does anyone else have any other questions?
I have one.
Okay, yeah.
Is it me? All right. How was adjusting to the changes from COVID-19 like?
We'll start with, I'm not sure, well, we know it was Dave. We'll start with Dave and then Mackenzie and then Sydney again. Dave, are you there?
Well, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so initially, like, it was just a rumor, and we weren't worried about it too much. And then, like, then there were talks about deciding whether if we should go home or not, because, like, so even now the virus isn't there, so it's safe to be there. But if it did come there, then it's not good to be there because they have low health care there. So they were like heavily debating whether we should go or not, and then the work started going like really slow, only focusing on people who are really close to getting baptized, and it just got kind of boring and kind of depressing. They just thought of leaving it all behind for some time. Yeah.
So people started getting boring and depressing, you said. So, and that's because people couldn't do anything, or?
Yeah, they did.
I think we might be having some technical difficulties with Dave right now. So we'll go ahead and go on to Mackenzie.
Yeah. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but like I said, because we have a campus, everyone went home because of the virus, and so we had no work and no people. I think we had about 5 people we were teaching consistently, and they all went home to wherever they live, and so that was really hard. But our mission president is very good about pushing us to be outdoors and to do different things. And so really, I mean, I think it was depressing for all of us to be stuck inside, but we had so many opportunities to get out and to do different things. And now we've been able to build up our teaching pool again just by contacting members and getting to know their friends. It's definitely not as productive as it was before, but I think we've been making it work.
Okay, Sydney.
So when like schools were let out and like everything was just kind of canceled, a lot of the people in the area I was in, a lot of like the Spanish members and just Spanish people in general just kind of packed up and went to Mexico. So there wasn't as many, I don't know, I feel like of the few that were in that area at that time weren't there. And it was a little bit harder, like everybody has kind of said, but I don't know, like with my companion now, like my new one, we've just kind of made a goal just to like treat every day as if it like wasn't even really happening. So we get up on time and we just do what we're supposed to and go a little above and beyond. And it kind of honestly helps. It makes it feel like I'm still on a mission. I'm not just waiting for something to like pass. And it like, I don't know. It's just, and we make sure, like my sister said, we get out as much as we can. And yeah, we still contact members. A lot of the people around here, we had like a really bad breakout when it was still kind of going on. There was a really, really bad breakout on the border. And so a lot of, like, even just with contacting, there were a lot of members and a lot of people we were teaching that were kind of just like, we don't want any contact at all until this is like over and done. So it was hard, but there are still a lot of people who like take care of us and look after us and stuff like that that are in the ward. So it's been good. I'm happy.
Are stores open in California and Idaho?
In California, they just recently opened up stores. Like we're in phase 2. We still have to like it's mandatory to wear like a mask to go in a store, but I don't know about restaurants or anything yet. But I think just like food stores and like Targets and Walmarts and stuff. But
in Idaho, we're pretty much all open. I don't even know what phase we're in because everyone just kind of does what they want now. We're allowed to go into restaurants now. Restaurants are open. There's a few stores you need a mask, but mostly everything's open. It's like as if nothing happened almost.
And how about Dave? Was Dave back with us?
Still here. Are the stores open?
Yeah.
So a lot of people were scared when the rumor came that the virus was there, which it wasn't, but a lot of stores did close down, but there were still a lot open. It was all right. As far as I remember.
So, Sydney, one of the truly great reports from the mission field was your story of inadvertently walking into a nude beach.
oh my goodness.
I want you to know I shared that with President Oriang.
Oh my goodness. He's gonna send me home.
So the question was, with COVID-19, did they close the beaches?
Yeah, the beaches were all closed until like 2 weeks ago. You're able to go on the beach. So they closed the beach like in the beginning of COVID. They closed it for like 2 weeks. And then they opened it back up again. And then there was a humongous spread during that time. And it was because people were all on the beach and weren't in school and stuff like that. But they closed it back down and then they opened it like 2 weeks ago. The beaches are open. I'm not going back to that beach though.
I think that was a trick question. I think the bishop was asking, have you been back to that beach since?
I have not been back to that beach and I'm never going back to that beach.
Yeah, you have to watch out for Southern California beaches.
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions about their missions? I have other questions also I've received from members.
I have a question. So I remember when I was a full-time missionary, it was amazing how much stuff we did not have to pay for. Like there were restaurant owners who wanted nothing to do with the church, but would feed us for free anytime. Members would bring us groceries. Sometimes members would take us through the grocery store with them and load us up with stuff. Sometimes we'd be somewhere and we would just be told anonymously that our bill was covered. And I'm curious, like how well the members and maybe non-members are taking care of our missionaries. Also, do they still get all this free stuff like I used to get?
All right, we'll start with Dave again.
Sorry, what was the question? connection's bad over here.
Adam, can you repeat the question?
I just remember when I was a missionary, we got a lot of free stuff. Not only would members like buy things for us, or we would go somewhere and members would pay for us. Even people who weren't part of the church sometimes be generous to us and pay for stuff for us. And I'm curious if missionaries still get free stuff, like your groceries paid for, your restaurant bill paid for, that kind of thing.
I mean, like we kind of have like kind of a star status as well. We didn't get like stuff bought for us, but we did have like dinners every night. We were invited to dinners and big parties they have over there. They try to have like they think it's important that the missionaries come to like birthdays and funerals, and yeah, just like it's a big part of their culture to like invite us to big events. And there's always a lot of food there, and people are always really nice to us and try to talk to us. So yeah, there's
Okay.
that.
Thank you, Dave. Mackenzie?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny that our nickname for our mission, I don't even know if it's just in our mission, but we're called the Rich Kid Mission because we are spoiled by the members. Especially when I served in Bear Lake area, we never we never paid for our food at restaurants. They always paid for us, or at the stores, they would always buy our groceries for us. They're super nice to us. So yeah, people have been really very, very super sweet to us. Especially there's a lot of restaurants where they give us discounts if we go in, or someone will jump in front of us to pay. So we're spoiled by members.
All right. Sounds like you got plenty to eat.
Oh yeah, they joke about it. That's Idaho 40 because people love to feed us so much.
All right. Sydney.
I haven't had anybody buy anything for me yet. We have really nice members, but I think that I don't know, not a lot of people know who we are. Like when we introduce ourselves, we kind of have to explain the whole church and just like explain that we're like Christians, stuff like that. So I feel like not many people know who we are, and so I've never had anything paid for. But it's fine.
Hey, I bought you sushi once.
Yeah, my dad came to visit me and he bought me sushi, and I had that before.
That was approved, by the way.
Just so everybody knows.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you a question now from Brother Gallahan. What helped you the most preparing for your mission? We'll start with let's mix it up now. Let's start with Mackenzie.
Gosh. I honestly feel like I was very unprepared for my mission. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really ask a lot of questions. I just said, okay, I'm doing this. But I think when I went to the MTC, I realized how little I knew about the Book of Mormon. And so studying the Book of Mormon, I know this wasn't really before my mission, but I think studying the Book of Mormon really helped me at the very beginning, just learning as much as I could. And that's really helped me the rest of my mission. But then also prayer. It's so simple. It's those simple things that we don't think twice about, but really that's what you're going to be doing every day, and you're going to try to bring more meaning to it. And so that really helped me.
All right, great. Thank you. We'll go Sydney next.
Kind of same with Mackenzie. I feel like I kind of just jumped into it too. But I don't know, like when I got to the MTC, it was different than when I expected for sure. I think it was just a little bit harder for me. But I realized even just like then and like from now, I just remember I just try to have as much of as a positive attitude as I can. And that's like the simplest thing you can tell somebody. But honestly, it goes a long way when you just like try to stay positive with like either if it like is a bad situation or it's not, or just like what you're doing in general. I feel like that really helps, and it's kind of just like a fake it till you make it. Just act positive and you'll end up really happy. But yeah, I would say just have a positive attitude and just have faith in the Lord, because even if you're going through a difficult time in your mission, He's never going to put you through anything that He knows you can't handle. So I would just have faith. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Dave? Dave, are you there?
Sorry, I had it on mute. Yeah, but yeah, what they said was very your testimony, the things you're gonna share, because if you don't have your own testimony, and it's like it's kind of like when you teach someone, it's like you're selling something, or like, you know, but it feels more genuine, feels more real, and the spirit's a lot stronger when you tell people that you do know something's true, that you actually do know that the thing is true. And yeah, and like what Sister Chester said, both of them, that MTC, it works miracles. It really prepares you to go out there and serve a mission. And yeah, just make the most out of the time at MTC and you'll be fine.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you all for the sharing that. Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask right now? I do have some other questions also, but I just want to open it up if they have any other questions they're just thinking about to ask the missionaries.
Can I add a part to my answer?
Sure.
I want to add seminary with Brother Call. I think really, I mean, I'll be honest, I totally did not take in everything that I learned in the scriptures, but it's so funny because I'll be teaching someone about a story from the scriptures, and I'll think about one of the stories that Brother Call told us, and all of his stories always come to my mind whenever I'm teaching, and so I think he just really had a big impact on me.
What's your favorite story from Brother Call?
Oh, I have so many. This one's kind of sad, but it's always in the back of my mind. I don't know why, but it was about his sister and her car accident. And I always just think about that, and it really has helped me so much in just, I don't know, finding empathy for other people, or not realizing, how good I've had it and how, I don't know. I think other people have so much worse and so much harder things to deal with, and so you just have to be accommodating to them and their needs.
I always think of the 70 times 7 one. Every time I hear that story, I just like hear Brother Call telling it. And like every time your brother hits you, just forgive him 70 times 7. And Brother Call actually did it. But I always remember that when like something goes wrong. I'm just like, Brother Call can do it, I can do it.
Well, I didn't do it, if you remember.
Yeah.
Correctly. I tried. I broke down before I got to 70 times 7.
There was that, and then he would have us memorize scriptures by like making a song out of them, and that's what I do now too. Is whenever I need to remember a scripture, I make a song out of it, and it helps me remember it.
That's really good advice. I like that. I'm sure we can learn a lot from Brother Call.
Life experiences. Well, thank you for those comments. I have 2 questions. One, they both have to do with the youth. What would you tell a young man who is trying to decide whether or not to go on a mission? And what would you tell a young man or young woman after they've decided to go? What would you tell them to do before they get to the MTC?
We'll start with Sydney this time.
Oh, okay. So I'll answer the second question first. What they would like do when they get into the MTC, is that right? Like when they
Yes,
start
someone has decided to go on a mission, or maybe they even have their call. What should they do before they enter the MTC? What would be of most value to them?
I have okay. You notice that people kind of come on the mission sometimes and they aren't like just in the mission mindset. I think that when, like we have said, I feel like preparing is so important. It's really, really important. And I don't know, every time like something goes wrong, this like sounds so dumb, but I always like think, what would Jesus do? I always just like keep that in my head, and I never really had that before. But I think you really have to strive to convert yourself. And I've mentioned this in like an email or like somewhere before, that like before my mission, my uncle told me that whatever reason you go, you'll be converted. But you have to also strive for that. You can't just kind of expect it to happen. Kind of same with like learning a language. You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna be blessed. This is exactly what I did. I am gonna be blessed. I was called to do this. He knows I can do it. So like, I'm just gonna have the gift of tongues. I don't know. It's kind of just what we've always kind of been taught. You just have to strive. You really have to try, because the Lord loves effort. And I don't know. I just know that like when you try as hard as you can, the Lord is really gonna bless you. And I would tell someone that. Also, sorry, the second question was about like the youth, what I would tell a youth.
If they're trying to decide whether or not to go on a mission. Should I go on a mission? Should I go to school? What should I do with my life?
I think that I don't know. I think that missions are really good, but sometimes people need to wait. Like missions can totally be for everybody, but I think that for some people, going on a mission right after high school isn't their path, or they have to wait until after college, or maybe just going outside of high school. I feel like just like really pray about it and don't use peer pressure. I totally recommend one for everybody. I think that a mission is for everybody, but I think that there's a certain time and place. So I'd say just pray, honestly.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. Dave?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Sydney that yeah, you have to pray about it. For young men, you've been called to serve, like you kind of had to go, but so like I invite you just to have faith in that, that this is the Lord's plan for us to go on a mission. But for both young men and young women, it's important that, like what Sydney said, to pray about it, because it's also important to know when is the best time, and what things you need to do to prepare. You'll learn a lot through personal prayer, because the Lord knows where He's going to send you and what you need to do to be ready for that. So, and yeah, just like make sure you have your own testimony on the stuff you'll be sharing. And once you receive your call, it's good to know as much as possible about your area, and you just do a quick Google search on missionary blogs and other things about your area, get you step ahead. And also Preach My Gospel. It's a really good guide. The things you'll be doing and how you should approach things. Preach My Gospel is the best tool from one of the best tools for missionaries, behind the Book of Mormon. And yeah, so just read those things and you should be ready. Should be good.
All right, thank you, Dave. Mackenzie?
Yeah. It's funny because when you talk to people about their missions, they always talk about how amazing it was and all the different miracles they saw. But really, no one talks about how hard a mission is. I think a mission is definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. Yet because of that, it's been the most meaningful. I've learned more about myself and about life in general and about people. And so it really is just so worth it. And I wish and I hope that everyone can go on a mission because it really does just change your life in the best way. But I think a way to best be prepared is to have a testimony of the Book of Mormon, because that's what we're going to be teaching people, and that's what I think if your testimony is based off the Book of Mormon is so strong, then you can do anything. And I like what Dave said too about preach my gospel. Preach my gospel makes you a better missionary. And so I think studying as much as you can, and knowing that this is what you're going to be sharing with other people. There's one elder always, I don't know, I think going around proselyting, I have a bag of tons of different things and different ways to teach. Yeah, all he did was carry around a Book of Mormon, because he had such a strong testimony in the Book of Mormon that he thought that was all he needed to teach. And I thought that was really inspiring, and that was really cool. So just, yeah, have that basis of the Book of Mormon and the atonement. Yeah, that'll get you ready.
Well, thank you for those answers. I do have a question from Sister Brewer, or Kelly Brewer. Kelly, did you want to ask the question about communications, or do you want me to?
You can go ahead and ask, Mark. I forget what it was at the moment.
Okay. All right. The question is, it's a series of questions, but almost the same, basically, close to the same category or item. So the questions are, how you think the mission would be different if they didn't have the opportunity to speak to their families so often, if the previous guidelines still applied, such as email, Christmas, Mother's Day. How does communication at home impact their work?
That's a great question.
All right. So we'll start off with Dave on that. Dave, are you there?
I think the new handbook for communicate with our families every month is just a huge blessing because, and I've seen it. When you're having a rough time, you get to talk to your family and have that burden kind of ease just a little bit, and you have an opportunity to share the things you've been experiencing with others, with people that you love. So yeah, it's a great blessing, great opportunity to ease your burdens and to bless your family at the same time. And I'm really grateful for it that we had this opportunity every week to call home.
All right. Well, thank you, Dave. We'll go with Mackenzie next.
Yeah.
When I first came out, it was still only call on those big holidays. And I remember when it came out that we could call our family once a week, everyone was really scared that we'd get really homesick and that we'd want to go home because we talked to our family so much. But I think it really did the opposite. I think knowing that you can talk to your family once a week and knowing that people are cheering you on, and that even though, missionary works hard, like I said, but we have family to talk to and to talk through it. That's really helped me. I remember one point in my mission, I was the closest. I just wanted to go home because I had such a hard companion and I was having such a hard time. Yet talking to my family is what really switched it around and helped me know that I could keep going. That's really helped.
Great, thank you. Sydney?
I pretty much agree with everybody else. I think that it makes things easier. I think, well, during COVID, our mission, we're allowed to call our family more. We're allowed to call them 2 more times during the week. And I don't know, I feel like that's been really good because it's been hard. Like, it was hard off the bat, just kind of like not being able to talk to anybody. And I think even just talking to your family, like face to face, I guess that helps. But I think, I don't know, I kind of just agree with what everybody said. It helps, and I think it has been really beneficial.
All right. Well, let me reverse it. Let me ask the Chittister family, since they're all sitting right there. How has that helped you?
I'll go. I love talking to them. It's when you're sending your child out and you can only talk to them on those big holidays, you're constantly worried about them. You're worried, are they happy? Are they safe? I mean, obviously we'd get a call if they were not safe, but it's already hard sending them away. And so I've heard things like, oh, this generation's weak or whatever they say because now they can call. But if anything, it's helping the parents because I really appreciate talking to them whenever I need to talk to them. I try not to call them. I make sure they call me. But I got to hear from my girls. I got to hear what's going on. And it's like the girls have said, there's been times where they've had trying days and we've helped them through it. And sometimes a parent is the one that needs to help them through rather than like a companion. So I love it. It's great.
Well, thank you for that. I'm sure Josh just wanted to kick them out the door.
No, not at all. I love hearing from them as well. They don't call me as much as they call their mom, but once in a while at work, I'll be in the middle of something and I'll hear that well-known Facebook Live ring, and one of the girls with a question on how to fix something, or I love it.
I didn't know how to start a grill.
I needed to fix
and
my
I
water.
needed.
Thank you. Dave, are your parents on?
Yeah, they're home.
Okay. Or are they with you, or?
Wake up!
I'm sorry?
Inside then.
All right. Well, hey, Dave, they're not with you right now. We'll go ahead and move on to the next question. All right. So the next question is from Sister Blakely. What can members do to help the missionaries during this time? For you personally and for the missionary work.
What can I do?
So we'll start off with Sydney on that one.
So I'm in like a really, really good ward. It's like a lot of older people, so they like love the missionaries. But one of the things, well, I guess just for this mission, I guess they asked for COVID to get to know like where you're serving more and like get to know like your members and kind of just use the time you have to like, I don't know, practice like tongues and stuff like that. So I think that, I don't know, just like allowing them to teach you because like, I don't know, in my last ward, or I've heard from like other wards on this mission that they're just not open to like having just like a lesson over Zoom, like they're just uncomfortable. I think it's been really helpful when they just kind of just like cut you some slack and you can practice like, that's another thing they're trying to have us practice like teaching the harder lessons with members first, because like we're not super used to it, like teaching like things like, I don't know, commandments or like law of chastity or word of wisdom, like they're harder for sure to teach. But I think when you have that practice with members, it might be kind of weird, I guess, because they're a little bit bigger, but I think it really helps and it's a good practice. So I feel like, I don't know, just like help the missionaries out. Like if they want like a lesson, I recommend letting them have one. But yeah.
All right, thank you. Dave?
I'm not sure, like definitely prayer helps. Yeah, just continue to pray for the missionaries. A lot of them are going through rough times right now. Yeah, every prayer counts and it really helps. Send them emails probably. As for me, you can send me some good recipes. I like to have some good food, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know too much. Just pray and send emails. You help missionaries a lot. Support them that way.
All right, well, thank you, Dave. Mackenzie?
think like Sydney said too, is having practice lessons is something that really helps us, especially because we're not teaching as often as we wish we were. So just being able to practice with members is really rewarding. And also just, I don't know, I think for us in Idaho, we have so many members that knocking doors is useless because you come across a member or someone that wants nothing to do with the church. So I think really giving referrals, I think talking to your friends about the gospel and then giving them to the missionaries is something that really helps us because it helps us, I don't know, save time. You know, knocking doors, like I said, is pretty useless. So just having those connections really helps.
All right, well, thank you. Let's see here. Another question. How has your mission affected your testimony of Jesus Christ and his work? Start with Mackenzie.
That's a loaded question too. I think the biggest thing for me, I don't know, realizing, because my whole life I've known that because of the atonement, we all have second chances. And that's just something I've been taken for granted because I just thought, you know, I know that. But I think recognizing that other people don't know that. There was a little girl that we were teaching, and I said this in an email, so I'm sorry if you've already heard this, but she was 9 years old, and we were teaching her. And whenever we would teach her, she would not take anything in. I swear, she just was always bouncing off the walls. But she had a brother that had health issues that he was not able to eat food. There was only he was only able to eat through a tube. We were teaching her, and we finally got her to church one day. We walked her to church, and it was fast and testimony meeting. And she asked us in the middle of the meeting if she could go up and bear her testimony. We were kind of like, oh, sure, you know, if you want to. And she went up and she bore her testimony on the atonement of Jesus Christ. And she bore her testimony that because of him, that her brother is going to be made perfect through the resurrection. And it was amazing to see that this little girl recognized that. So I think really it's helped me so much knowing that this does change people's lives, and that, you know, compared to all the hardships that we have, there's literally so little of what we have to do to partake of his atonement. You know, we don't have to do anything, but it helps us so much more than I've realized. And so that's been very rewarding to me.
Thank you. We'll move on to Sydney.
Okay. Well, we had a little kind of like a conference thing. We had it with a guest speaker. He wasn't like an apostle or a 70, but he was like an area authority. And he said one part that like really stuck out to me. He kind of put the premortal life more into perspective for us, and kind of just like, I don't know, just made it easier for us to understand. And he mentioned one part that like kind of really stuck with me. He just said that we chose to come here because Jesus was our friend. And it's so simple, but I just thought it was really sweet. And it just like, I don't know, I kind of try to remember that, especially when it gets hard, or like when I'm talking to somebody and I know that they're here because they were friends with Jesus too. And I don't know, I just try to remember that. And I feel like that really helps me feel his love too. And helps me see people through the eyes of our Heavenly Father. I think it helps with like what I'm finding, like I said. But also just like I said earlier, just having that mindset, what would Jesus do? I don't know. Just like, I guess the part of Jesus Christ that I always kind of focus on is just like his example in his life. And I think when you try to just strive to be like him, I guess, kind of like we're always told, it honestly does work miracles, and you'll feel happier, like I kind of touched on earlier. But I just have a stronger testimony of like the love that he has for us, and which goes along with the atonement and the resurrection. But yeah, so just, yeah, that's how that's affecting me.
All right, thank you, Sydney. Dave?
Yeah, going on a mission really solidifies your testimony on Jesus Christ and his atonement, because that's the main message that we go out to share with people, that Christ is our Savior and our Redeemer, and that he died for us so we may live with him again. And just sharing that having the opportunity to share that every day really strengthens your testimony. And just being on the mission, you just see so many miracles, especially like for me, learning a different language, just like 6 short weeks at the MTC, and then being able to go to this country I've never even heard about before getting my call, and being able to um, share my testimony with these people who speak a different language, and seeing that it really resonates with them. It just shows that it's really true that this is His work and His glory, that we work through the Lord. The Lord works through us. And yeah, it really solidifies my testimony that this is His work and that He lives. Yeah.
Thank you all for your answers. That's wonderful. So we're running out of time. Does anyone have any last comments they would like to say? We won't do any more questions, just any comments?
I have a comment I'd like to make. I just wanted to say, tell these 3 missionaries how great they are. They are super. I've known them almost all their lives and seen them grow up. And so I am so proud of you out there serving missions, sharing the gospel, building your testimonies, and setting a foundation for yourselves. And I love each and every one of you 3 missionaries. So all 3 of you are awesome. That's all.
Well, I will second that, Hans. Really, you guys are really doing a great job. So Dave, you are soon to head for Bentonville, Arkansas, which is going to be quite a cultural shock from the Marshall Islands. And Kinsey, you are going to come home when?
10 days.
10 days.
Next week.
I have been looking forward to hearing your mission report in sacrament meeting. Who knows when that will be, but we will be glad to have you back.
Thank you. I'm excited.
And Sydney, watch out for those beaches.
I will, I promise. I'm never going back.
Thank you all for your service. Great, great example to the ward and to the young men and women of our ward. Great inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Any other comments? Well, thank you to our missionaries. You're doing a wonderful job. President Call, do you have anything last to say?
Just ditto to what the bishops said. Thank you to all you missionaries who are doing such.
All right. Well, we're going to close this meeting now. Thank you for everyone joining us.
For everyone to be a little better and do a little better, because we see that you are doing good.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining us, and we will see you next week. All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.